We are back, Cuse Nation. This week, we're going to talk about Syracuse football and the implosions that occurred in the past two games. Syracuse basketball starts 4-0. We'll tell you what we think about that. And we'll go over last night's game against Oakland and look ahead to Toledo.
Make some noise, Orange fans! It's time for the Cuse Nation podcast with Sean and Joe. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/Cuse Nation podcast.
All right, what's up, Cuse Nation? Welcome to episode 39 of the Cuse Nation podcast with Sean and Joe. We can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, and YouTube. Once again, I'm Sean alongside my good buddy Joe. Joe, how you doing today?
What's going on, bud? How you doing?
Not a whole lot. So we got quite a bit to talk about, but I don't think, I think we'll get through it. We'll try not to drag it out. First, so we are back, and we were gone for a little bit because Joe and I actually headed back to Syracuse for a couple days to say goodbye to a member of the Cuse Nation family. Literally, the man that I called Dad, he lost his life. Technically, he's my stepdad, but he passed away this past week, and I wouldn't even mention it, but he was a huge Syracuse sports fan, and he was also a listener of the podcast, and he was one of those fans who always was on top of the basketball and football programs, especially during the off season. He always did his research on new recruits, and he'd always let me know what he thought, even though, I would either agree or disagree. He was always optimistic about the upcoming season, and if you weren't, after talking to him, you would be. And he was just one of those types of guys. I mean, he was a really great guy. He opened up my eyes to some of this absurd, the way these athletes are restricted by the NCAA. That's where I get a lot of my thoughts on that. I've had long discussions with him about that. As far as marketing themselves, we've talked about it on the program before. We'll probably talk about it again. So, just an all-around great guy. His nickname was Turbo because he helped out a buddy who owns a local bar in the village of East Syracuse, and he helped him out bartending for a short period of time. And the reason it was a short period of time is because he got the nickname Turbo because he was a little slow. He was a little slow on the drink mixing, and and so he got the nickname Turbo. And if you're from Syracuse, I mean, I'm sure this is like this everywhere, but I grew up. If your friends don't love you, they don't make fun of you. You know what I mean? Your friends love you when they bust your chops constantly. So, ain't that right, you moron?
Yep.
So, my stepdad, just a great dude, and I felt like I need to mention that. We've been gone for quite a while. So, all right. Well, the first thing I want to go over, I think, is we pretty much left off at the Wake Forest game, and we're gonna do the football and stuff first. But I want to mention this real quick because I saw this on I can't remember where it was, Syracuse.com. You can purchase men's basketball season tickets for $100. Did you see this, Joe?
Yeah.
For $100, 25 for women's season tickets and $5 tickets to Saturday's game against Boston College, which is our last game of the season, senior day and all that. I think it's band day too, they call it. But there's a catch, and it's only for a short period of time, and it's on Thanksgiving, 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. So you can go. I think you can go to. After that, the prices go up too, obviously, but they're still a decent deal. But I think you can go to the first level of the center atrium in between the Disney Store in New York and Company in Destiny, I guess. So there you go. If you want some cheap basketball, it's $100 for some season basketball tickets. I mean, they paid for themselves in like 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably 300 level, nosebleed section level, but still $100. Come on.
Yeah, $100 and $5 tickets to the football game. That's pretty awesome. So, anyway, all right, Wake Forest. I'm going to give you my quick take, Joe, and then I'll let you take over. So, they, Mahoney's in, Eric Dungy's out, and the offense started off strong. I feel like the offense was pretty decent for the whole first half. I mean, Mahoney was making moves. He was spinning out of tackles. He was making throws. They were catching the ball. and the defense didn't show up in the first quarter, but then the defense showed up in the second quarter. We got a huge lead, and then we wouldn't score. After the half, we'd score 5 more points, and we'd end up getting blown out after a 3-point lead at halftime, 64-43, and it was just like it was a complete implosion. It was terrible. So, I mean, that's what I saw. Granted, I was watching on the ESPN app because I wasn't home,
right,
and it was skipping a little bit. But Joe, what'd you think, man? Wake Forest.
Well, it was. I think it was more than 3 at halftime.
Was it? Oh, you're right. No, it was. You're right.
It was 3 after third quarter. After the third quarter, right, it was 43-40. We were still up.
That's right.
That game for me, honestly, it was just a lot of like highs and lows. You know, I think that we should have pulled off the Florida State game, and when we didn't do that, now a little bit more pressure's on. 3 more games, you got to get 2 more wins to get a bowl, and it was just I was ready for it, and then Dungy's, they said it was game time decision, and then they said he wasn't going to play, and then I was like, oh. And I was almost like, is this going to even be watchable? It was kind of just a low. And then, like you said, Mahoney came out and surprised the hell out of me. And then it was like, okay, maybe we can win this game. You know what I mean? Like our defense kind of started off bad in the beginning. Wake Forest moved the ball a little bit. But to me, it just seemed like halftime adjustments. They figured out how to stop Mahoney. And they turned him into a pocket passer. And he's not too accurate down – like as far as deep balls and stuff. So, and I think he's used to just kind of being on the run. He wasn't getting the ball out as much. They were taking away the short passes, and then our defense basically imploded. So, yeah, that's kind of how I saw it. Their offense, was fast tempoed, fast paced, just like ours. I think our defense was getting a little tired, but at the end of the day, their run pass option plays with Wolford and their running back and their tight end, I think, had 3 touchdowns. So
it was almost 800 yards of total offense.
Yeah, and I mean they ran that kind of offense, and then you see that, and then we lose that game. And I don't want to blame it necessarily on Dungy, but I think that he's a huge factor. Again, like I said, I think that this Mahoney, he's good with some things, but he's not really good at everything or well-versed or can get away with certain things. So that just the second half adjustments that Wake Forest made was ridiculous. We only scored 5 points in the second half, and 2 of them was off of a returned blocked PAT. So it was only 3 points of offense that we got. And yeah, after seeing that and then knowing that we needed to win the last 2 games to get into bowl and seeing what Wolford did, I was just nothing but nervous about the next week, knowing that we were going to Louisville for Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, I mean, we held in there for a little bit, and we're still leading into the fourth quarter, but something was up, and we just weren't there. Our defense hasn't played like that all year for that long in a game. So
Babers was asked a question that I've talked to you about, and that was, does the defensive play in the past 2 games have anything to do with maybe a little bit of a morale issue because Eric Dungy isn't there? And he said no, because Eric Dungy, he's not on defense, he's on offense. Now, I respect his answer, and what else are you going to say? But and maybe that's
up for his defense.
Yeah, obviously, and that's maybe what he feels. But I'm telling you, when the leader of the team isn't there, and it's just, it doesn't matter what side of the ball he's on. If he's not out on the field making plays and hyping everybody up, I feel like that can make a difference. Did it? I don't know, but it sure felt that way. And obviously, I wasn't the only one thinking it. Especially going into Louisville. I mean, the weather was awful. It was rainy
and windy.
Rainy and windy. They actually had to stop play for 45 minutes because of lightning in the area. And just more of the same. And it was like with Wolford, you wondered, I mean, Joe, you know how to read defenses better than I do, but was there a spy on this guy? Was there a spy on in Louisville against Jackson? I mean, it just didn't seem that way. It just didn't seem that way.
Well, I mean, in every situation, especially when that you're going against an option team, everyone has, depending on the play, depends on, whose job is what, and I mean, every time that you scheme for an option, there's always, no matter what the play is, if it's an option, someone's got the quarterback, someone's supposed to have the running back, and obviously there's still supposed to be defenders that are supposed to look out for the receivers or any type of receiver leaking out of the backfield, and that's really what it comes down to. To me, it looked a lot like people just weren't playing. Like, a lot of times you have to do your job so that the play works, so someone else can make a play, and it looked to me like a lot of people were putting themselves out of position to try to make the play instead of doing their job on that specific play, and that hung other people out to dry. And then when they didn't make the play, it turned into a big play for the other team.
A lot of big plays. Both.
Yeah. So a lot of it is, when it came to Lamar Jackson, a lot of it was athleticism. You let him get into open spaces. We don't have the athletes. He won the Heisman last year, and he's putting up the same type of numbers. So, he's an uber athlete, and we don't have anybody that can stop him in the open field like that. So, you got to be able to stay and basically do your job. If it's your job to take care of the quarterback, you go and you take the quarterback and you make him pitch it. And if it's your job to take the running back, you try to make the tackle, try to turn it back in, don't let them get outside of you, and if you're a safety, make sure that no one's leaking out, and it's just basically people playing a little bit selfishly and wanting to make the play and getting caught up in being out of position. And we paid for it big time. So, and we don't have the athletes to make up for that. So we have to play unselfish.
And the tackling was just the tackling wasn't there. They're tackling,
that too. There's some bad tackling.
Tackling high, I don't know. It's kind of basics, a lot of that stuff. And I understand it. The weather was bad. You're slipping on the field, this and that. You can have 100 excuses, I guess. 120 points of total offense scored on this defense the past 2 games. And we go in against Boston College. As of today, I think it was a 3.5-point underdog. So something like that. So, at the Dome. So, and it doesn't look like Dungy's going to play. So we're out of a bowl game. We're not going to get a bowl game. Babers, as he's very good at doing, staying optimistic and kind of making you feel a little better. Being at senior day, he wants to focus on, Irv and all the other seniors. So, hopefully they can go out there and have a good game for them, and that's just kind of where we're at. Get your $5 tickets, I guess, and fill up the Dome. It'd be awesome. Yeah. It'd be awesome if they could get a crowd there. I'm a little worried about it, though, especially with, Baber's comments. I think that people, rightly or wrongly, I guess, maybe have taken the wrong way. I think maybe a little bit.
Yeah. No, some people just take things a little too literally and a little too personally.
So,
and
I had read it. You and I talked earlier, and I had read it, and I was like, wow, it kind of sounds like, it doesn't sound real good. I wasn't upset about it, but I was playing devil's advocate with Joe, and Joe was like, he explained it, how, the expectations were set a little high after Clemson, and that, the team's just trying to take it one game at a time. And granted, they're athletes, but they're young athletes, so there's a lot of pressure. And that's pretty much all he was saying. He maybe used poor choice of words, calling, the fans, they need to handle wins more maturely or whatever he said, something along those lines. But I think it was taken way out of context by some writers at Syracuse.com, especially, because that's where I read it. So just to give you my thoughts on that, I would say taken out of context a little bit. I don't think it was meant in any kind of divisive way at all. So just to clear that up, for me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the writers, a lot of times with Boeheim, and you notice it with Babers too, kind of no nonsense stuff, but like Syracuse.com writers, they tend to, I'm not going to say write smear pieces, but they stir the pot. They
do stir the pot, and you see it when Jim Boeheim, he's been there, 40-something years. He knows how to handle those guys. He doesn't give them the time of day. Babers is a little bit more nice about it. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. Well, at this point, if you watch Jim Boeheim's pressers, like post game and pre game, it's almost like he knows what reporters are going to ask what question, and he cuts them off and starts answering the question before they finish talking. So,
I love Jim Boeheim's press conferences. I like
Babers too, but it was poor choice of words as far as talking about maturity of the community, and that's really. And he issued an apology, and and kind of reiterated and kind of explained to, the fans like me or you understood what he was saying, but obviously, when you're in the media, you take everything.
We consume a lot of news. You and I consume a lot of the Syracuse sports news from multiple websites. We watch the post games, the pre games, press conferences. So we kind of know where their heads have been at all year.
But that goes for any media outlet. I mean, that's a trend with every media outlet about anything. So
yeah, you're right. So hashtag fake news. Fake news. So all right, looking ahead to Boston College, Joe. What do we got coming into the Dome? The game, obviously Saturday, early game, 12:20.
We have a team that made leaps and bounds, especially on the offensive end. They've always been pretty good defensively. I don't think that usually where they are defensively the past couple of years they're there, but they're still right. I mean, they're still up there. They've still got a pretty good defense, and their offense just came on, especially when Anthony Brown, their quarterback that actually chose Boston College over Syracuse, he came in and he kind of him and a freshman A.J. Dillon, running back. He's like 6'1", like 240 pounds. He's a load, and they kind of had the offense rolling. But Anthony Brown, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, he ended up actually getting injured, and he's out for the season. So they're going to be without their starter too. And they have a backup, Wade. He's played before, but it's going to be more. I mean, it's going to be difficult. They have a good defense. They have a really good run game. But it's definitely a winnable game. And like you said before, obviously we can't get to a bowl game, but we have some record-breaking seniors with our linebackers, Paris Bennett and Zaire Franklin. And obviously I don't want to leave out Jonathan Thomas because he's a senior as well, and he's definitely contributed. But him and Irv Phillips, Steve Ishmael, they've set records as far as receiving goes. And Jamar McGloster's another senior, the right tackle. So there's not too many of them. But they contributed for the last 3 or 4 years, all of them as freshmen, and they came in together as true freshmen, and except for Jamar McGloster. But they got to win. They got to win for them, and hopefully they can come in and we can beat them. They're already bowl eligible anyway, and it would just be nice to get 5 wins, be 1 win better than last year, especially with the schedule, and go out with a win for the players.
Yeah, like Coach Babers was saying, a lot of these guys are suiting up for the last time. So,
right.
They're not going to go into the NFL. So it's a big game, means a lot to these kids, and hopefully they can play, hopefully they can win. So without Dungy, because I doubt he's going to be there.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on it. They'd probably give, like I was telling you earlier on the phone, I think Mahoney, with everything he's done, as much as he's sometimes tough to watch, he's actually performed pretty good considering where he's came from.
He's not awful, but that one throw against Louisville where he just was like hucked it up while he was like turning around. He just hucked it up there, man, like it was the last second before the half or something.
Yeah, I know.
Awful,
he's made some bad decisions, and I mean, like I said, I got to give him credit where he's came from, because when he came to Syracuse, he transferred from a junior college as like a specialty walk-on. You know what I mean? Like they basically like a preferred walk-on. Like he didn't even come to Syracuse with a scholarship, and he actually started a game. I think this Dungy's freshman year, he started a game, and he wasn't even a scholarship player. So to go where he's came from to actually, being a scholarship player the last, I think, 2.5 years, something like that, and actually starting against some of the better teams. He started against Clemson, against LSU, started against Louisville last week. I mean, and some of the stuff that he has done, it's admirable. And at this point in the season, we're not going to be bowl eligible. So, and why risk further injury to Dungy? Just let him go in there and have his final day,
Yeah,
So.
Exactly. All right, looking ahead, our switching subjects completely, I guess. Let's take a look at basketball on a,
good note.
On a good note. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to tell. You get these wonk teams, these mid-majors, and they come in, and you don't really know what to expect. You don't know if you're getting to see, legit play that we're going to see all season, but it's definitely, you get the feel that the defense this year by far better than last year. I mean, I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
The finishing around the rim is kind of a problem. in my opinion, a little bit. But the defense has stepped up. You've got the offense is a little better, and especially our boy Frank Howard is playing decent offense. I mean, he had a season or a career high. What was it against Texas Southern, or was it Oakland? Might have been Oakland. No, I think it was Texas Southern. 18 points or something like that. So, you've got Battle had career highs. There was another one too that had career high. So.
I think Chukwa last game. And in Chukwa last game, just as kind of a side note, he had, 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 blocks. Yeah.
I mean, against Oakland. That's awesome. I mean, that kind of play is, that'll get things done. And we missed that last year, really, to be quite honest with you. We had Leiden in the middle and Thompson. Thompson was 6'10", but it was well documented from Jim Boeheim that he wasn't that great in the middle of the zone. And there were so many times where you watched it and you're like, dude, you're in the middle of the zone. You got to put your hands up. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean,
it was painful to watch. And I'm sorry to cut you off. But what you're saying, like, the defense is longer. This is the longest team we've had in 10 years, and they're able to stop that perimeter shooting a little bit. Coach Boeheim mentioned it, and we were terrible last year with that. But they're able to get out there quicker. Their hands, they're getting out there better. Their rotations look good, and it's a better team. I mean, plain and simple.
Yeah. As far as defense-wise goes, when you don't have those rim protectors, and I mean, we gave up. I mean, I felt like it was historical offensive rebounds as far as we were concerned last year.
Yeah.
So when you have that kind of back line in your 2-3 zone, then you're going to tend to kind of push those guards back a little bit, and the perimeter is going to be a little bit more open because now you're asking for the guards to actually try to press back down and help the centers in the forward or the center and the forwards and try to help rebound. So you can't really push it out. Like I said last podcast against Cornell, it was pretty obvious. Like the guards are pushing it out to take away the 3-point shot, and they're forcing guys to, drive into our 6'10", 6'11", 7'2" in Chukwu's, situation.
Yeah.
So they're just forcing them they're daring them to drive and say, go make a tough shot over a big guy.
Yeah. And then do you feel like the refs have been letting them play a little bit too? I mean, it's really hard to tell on the app. I mean, it really is because I don't have. I mean, the ESPN app is like the worst streaming system on the face of the planet right now. But it's the past couple of games have seemed really physical. But 48 rebounds total the last game, which is we weren't doing that last year either. The rebounding was awful last year, especially offensively. It's terrible.
No, offensively and defensively. I mean, we allowed so many second chance points, and we couldn't. We'd go down and shoot one shot, and then it'd be back down on defense. So,
yeah,
and we really weren't that great at fast break, open court plays either.
Which we've definitely fixed some of that too.
Oh yeah, as soon as they're getting rebounds, they're looking to go. I like the fact that Merrick can dribble it up. Brissett can dribble it up if he needs to, and then Battle and Thorpe and Howard. Those are pressing kind of guys where they're going to, they see a rebound and they're shooting up the court to try to get an easy bucket or a transition bucket. So it's definitely a 180 as far as, I mean, last year it was like they were still learning on the fly and it almost looked like they were trying too hard. This year they're starting slow sometimes in offense in the first half, but once they get going and clamp down that D and start getting transition buckets, then it's pretty fun to watch. Looks like in a couple years ago, actual Jim Boeheim Syracuse team.
Yeah.
So
and like you mentioned with the fast breaks, the tempo is much better this year. It's much more like a Syracuse basketball tempo. Last year was lethargic and lazy.
Yep.
And especially in the first half. You remember that? You remember how bad that was?
Oh, yeah.
How lazy it was? And, I mean, you're talking, too, handsy on defense, 19 turnovers, 15 block shots as a team. And, like I said, pushing them out and making them shoot longer threes instead of letting them shoot right at the line.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not trying to heap praise to be some sort of homer and set expectations high while we were talking about expectations, but it's a better team. But as far as I can see right now, it's a better team. And
as far as the way he wants to play, I mean, there's certain nuances in a game that create your type of style. To like last year, we didn't fast break a lot. We didn't get a lot of transition layups. We gave up a boatload of offensive rebounds. So when you do that kind of stuff, Boeheim isn't going to want to run up the court and take a bad shot. He's not going to. He's going to want to try to take away as many possessions as possible from the other team, because he knows as many possessions as he gives, there's a good chance that they're going to get a shot and probably a second chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in this situation this year, he's saying go, go, go. We got to, and we weren't that deep that last year as far as people he trusted. This year, I don't know if he's going to redshirt anybody. And every time you see him, they get the rebound, and it's like go, 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 go. Why? Because he knows that if he can make it fast and make it ugly and get guys on the other team start coming down taking bad shots, we're that kind of team where it can force it to we can get easy buckets off transition. So if we speed up the game, we got the depth to do it, and that's the kind of game that we have. And then you start getting them take bad threes or try to drive the lane on our big guys. So it creates a whole different type of game. And he couldn't do that last year.
No, you're right. Who are you most impressed with this early right now? Who kind of stands out to you where you think, maybe it's someone that returned or someone that came in that you really weren't sure about?
Well, obviously you saw the last couple of years, you see little streaks of what Frank Howard can do, and then you can see him. I always thought last year, and I said it, that I always thought that he was nervous that if he made a bad play, he was getting pulled in for Gillen, so he was playing tight. This year, he doesn't have that. I mean, he played the whole game the other day.
Confidence. He lacks confidence.
It's confidence, and it's the fact that he knows that he's got the freedom to make some mistakes because he's relied on a lot more. They need his scoring. They need his height up at the 2-3 zone. And honestly, they don't have someone behind him every single time that they're going to turn around and that's that much better than him, and they're going to turn around and pull him. So I think Battle and Howard up front at the top of that 2-3 zone is perfect, honestly. And I don't think Thorpe's played enough, but Howard's definitely impressed me. Knew Battle was going to be good. And as far as freshman goes, I think Brissett's good, but I mean, I think he had higher expectations. But if you want to talk about the expectations coming in, I mean, even Sidibe, even Chukwu, I mean, you saw last night that he finally realized he was 7'2" and had long arms, and all he had to do was jump a little bit to dunk. So he finally realized that. So.
Yeah, and like I was telling you earlier, like, I'm missing all these shots at the rims. Watch Chukwu. I mean, just slam it in there, boy. He was nailing it, man. It was awesome.
No, a couple games ago, he wasn't doing that. He was trying to lay it up and stuff.
No,
and
I know.
Like, dude,
there was a fast break we missed a layup on.
Yeah, I mean, with him and his height and his arms, like
just
he don't got to jump but 1.5 feet to dunk. I don't know what. So
7'2" with the arms. I mean, yeah.
And he finally realized it. Obviously, we playing against these kind of teams, these sort of teams, they're a little bit shorter than what we're going to see in the ACC, and if we make a postseason tournament. But again, that's the type of stuff you want. Your defense has got to ride the wave and beat these kind of teams. Yeah. And when you don't have this kind of defense like last year, then you get upset by teams that shouldn't beat you.
Right. I mean, I think Thorpe's going to come into his own.
Yep.
It's kind of the grad transfer curse a little bit. It just takes a minute. They've already been they have bad habits that they need to work out the kinks on. I think that's part of a little bit of it. He's new to the team and everything. But who impressed me, who I love to watch, is Dolezaj, whatever the hell his name is. It doesn't matter.
Hey man, I don't know how to say the last one. That's why I call him Mark.
Yeah. So but he is all over. He is all over the place. That guy. He's everywhere. And he just creates disruption. He only had 25 minutes. He didn't have any points, but he pulled in 8 rebounds. He had a couple of blocks. How many blocks did he have? He had 3 blocks.
A couple steals.
He's disruptive though.
Yeah, he's very disruptive. In the game before last night against Texas Southern, he was close to a triple-double. So
yeah, he only played 25 minutes this time too. So
yeah, I mean that's going to happen from night to night. But he's definitely been impressive. If you talk about incoming players that haven't played and their expectations, I would say that he probably exceeds or it grades out the highest as far as expectations go. I'm not going to go as far as saying,
too.
Yeah, I don't think he's better than Brissett, but comparing them to the expectations, he's definitely exceeded them. So, again, I said before, I thought he was going to come in and possibly redshirt, and there's no way that's happening. Like I said, I don't know if anyone is. If anyone is going to be Howard Washington, but there might not even be one. So,
yeah. So I mean, I'm impressed. I like it. I think Thorpe, like I said, is the one that kind of needs to work on just getting in the groove. And 13 minutes, 4 points.
Yeah.
He had a dunk too. He had a fast break dunk. Real quick, let's talk about. There was a couple of people at the game the other night. Let's see. Isaiah Stewart, 6'7" forward from Rochester, and I'm gonna hack this guy's name. John Bolajak, 6'10" center from Exton, Pennsylvania. They were on unofficial visits during their school's Thanksgiving break. Stewart, they attended the game last night, I believe. One of these guys, Isaiah Stewart, he's ranked 26th by ESPN, class of 2019.
Nice.
So making unofficial visits. Got Buddy Boeheim coming in next year. He was also at the game. Maybe he was hosting those guys. Who knows? But I just happened to come across that. So I'll just put it to you like this. There's other schools that are giving him offers besides Syracuse. Duke, Georgetown, Notre Dame, Indiana, and Maryland. So I think we could make the top 3 on that list, I believe. But
hopefully.
But I don't know. We'll just have to see. So unofficial visits there. All right. So looking ahead, Toledo, we gave a little brief on the team. Looking ahead to Toledo. Toledo ranked, I believe, 24th as far as in the latest College Insider mid-major poll. They're undefeated, going to be coming in, and they're going to try to knock us off. So these are the games that this type of game right here, or these are the ones that bother me.
Time out. Say that again.
Say what again?
You said we're Toledo?
Yeah.
You said they're ranked?
No. College Insider mid-major poll. They're ranked 24th.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, I looked at the top 25, and he wasn't on there, so when I heard you say that, it kind of just had...
No, it's a mid-major poll.
I did a double take, so...
Yeah, College Insider mid-major poll.
No, so the top 25, the mid... Okay, I got you.
They're ranked 24th. So, well, but, I mean, would you agree, though, that these are the kind of games, these are the ones that make me nervous? I mean, because you're not really sure what to expect. These guys got really something to play for. They're going to be playing on a huge platform. And still, we cannot get a game on regular TV, by the way.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be on regular. It's probably not it's not on regular TV in Syracuse, is it?
No, it's not, because...
No, they want people to go to the games, and the students aren't in town, so, yeah.
Well, from what I read, it was ESPN not reselling the games out to local stations because they have the monopoly basically on ACC especially.
So they want you to watch it.
So they want you to watch it on their app that they will not freaking fix because
that's pretty bad.
It's terrible. So they won't resell these games out to the smaller markets where these teams either play or are from, and they force you to watch the app. You think about it. Think about someone like my stepfather just passed away. He doesn't know how to work the ESPN app.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's just reading about it in the paper the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So either that or you got to go to the damn game. So it's got to be frustrating for some people. Me, it's not. It's only frustrating because it's glitchy. So I really can't complain. But back to what I was saying. This type of team, Joe, I mean, what do we know about this team? What do you know? That's why you're here. Tell me what you know about Toledo.
Well, I know pretty much exactly what you said, that they're a dangerous team. Last year, last couple of years they've had a lot of turnaround with transfers and stuff like that. But last year they went 17-17, and it wasn't a bad year, 9-9 in the MAC. But I think the expectations, even though they're young, the expectations actually in Toledo and as far as their team goes, I mean, you could say it probably about every team, but is a little bit higher than what it was last year. They've already beaten St. Joseph's out of the Atlantic 10, and they beat Oakland, the same team that we beat, because it's the Hoop Hall Miami Invitational, so we're all kind of round robin playing each other.
Right.
But they beat Oakland the other day, 87-74. They had another game. I think Ohio Northern. They're 3-0, but they seem confident. I read an article out of Toledo Blaze that talked about them being very confident and the coach being confident. And he made it ridiculous because they play in the MAC. So they talked about the 2-3 zone and so forth. And the old assistant head coach from Syracuse, Rob.
Oh, he made the rap.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. The Cuse in the house rap.
Mm-hmm. He was the coach. He's the head coach now of Eastern Michigan. At least he was up until last year. And they played a 2-3 exclusively there. And Toledo plays them at least, I think, 2 times a year. So he said that their players know how to play against 2-3 zone. And he said he said he thinks that Eastern Michigan's 2-3 zone is just as good as Syracuse's.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe last year's.
But then he backtracked and said minus the length. So I don't really know how you can say that it's just as good, but they're just not as lengthy, so they're not as good. So he's kind of just talked himself into a corner as far as that goes. But they do have, they have some height. They got a couple guys.
They were in the Dome last year too, I think.
Luke Knapp, he's a 6'11" guy. He can shoot threes, and he's one of the top 3 scorers. Another guy, Nate Navigato, he's 6'8". So those are 2 of their leading rebounders, and they can definitely put up some points and fill up the stat sheet. But the 2 guys that we have to worry about is Jalen Sanford and a transfer from Colorado, Trayshawn Fletcher. Those guys, they light up the scoreboard. At Oakland, they didn't shoot well. They actually shot a combined 1 of 12 from three-point land. But they both put up, they ended up going 18 for 39, and one of them, Sanford, scored 26, Fletcher scored 20, and that's going to be their main guys. The next highest shot attempt guy was Nappy with 11, but those guys shot 19 and 20 shots respectively. So those are the 2 guys in their guards. But they do know how to play a 2-3. They've played against 2-3 zone. Their coach thinks that they play best against zone. They're a 3-point shooting team, and they do have height to be able to, to try to get rebounds out there, and then you get compete for rebounds and get putbacks. So, like you said, this is a team where if we come out and we don't shoot very well, and these guys come out and shoot the threes, then
got to capitalize on the stuff around the rim.
We definitely have to do that. We have to. This is going to be probably the tallest team that we've played to date, probably the best team as well. And again, like I said, hopefully if it stays par for the course, then we can stay out on the 3-point shooters and try to force them to do stuff,
just
do damage down low. So, yeah.
That Napke, he's like their star player, I guess, right?
He's one of them. You got the 2 guards.
He's averaging 12 points a game and 9 rebounds a game, which is pretty good. He's
definitely got. Yeah, Jalen Sanford's averaging 23 points a game. Trayshawn Fletcher is averaging 20 points a game. So as far as scoring goes, it's those 2 guards. As far as rebounds and guys like down near the rim, it's that Napke and Navigato. Navigato doesn't score that much, but he posted the most minutes against Oakland, and he does rebound. So he's a 6'8" body. But yeah, if our defense comes to play, then they're not that deep. So I don't see a reason why we can't take away the 3-point shot and also try to force them to drive. Again, like I said, it's the defense is better just because of the personnel. They don't even have to be overall better basketball players. It's just the length alone creates problems for this defense alone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't teach length, and length automatically makes you a little bit better in the zone.
Yeah, so, like we mentioned, just pushing them out and forcing longer shots behind the arc.
Oh yeah,
and maybe they obviously there's no way they got that with Oakland, scoring 87 points on Oakland. Not a very big team, Oakland, but good shooters on that team though.
Yeah, good shooters on that team. They're not as big, and but I mean they also did allow Oakland to score 74 points too, right. And we held them in the 40s. 50. So
I think it was even 50, right?
What's that? Or something. Yeah, 50. Yep. So I mean that's got to be a little bit. That to me is the number as far as letting me know that
right.
As long as we can come out and we can score, and it just doesn't seem to me like Toledo's defense is top notch. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
But also, it's they didn't shoot good and they still put up 87 points.
Yeah, that's really impressive. That's what's scary about it.
Right. So and then the other thing that worries me is that Sidibe, with this tournament, this round robin, we've had a game every other day or every 2 days. So. And the Sidibe, he's got a sore knee, and he is. I'm not going to go as far as saying that he's not going to play, but I mean, if you noticed last night, Chukwu, he was out there because he was playing good, but he was also out there because Sidibe was banged up, and I don't think that 2 days is going to be good enough to allow him to come in and play, many meaningful minutes. He'll come in and he'll burn Chukwu, but at the end of the day, that's another kind of worry for me.
Coach mentioned that. I heard that in post game. So, hopefully a day and a half off. The game against Toledo is tomorrow at 7:00. ESPN, watch ESPN app. Any final thoughts, Joe? On anything?
Basketball's back.
Basketball's back. We will be back. Also, probably after the Toledo game, maybe. After the Toledo and the Boston College game. We'll just have to see if we're feeling froggy. We'll just do a quick take on Toledo, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Appreciate you listening. Go to Facebook and thumb us up on there. Facebook.com/Cuse Nation podcast. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.
You just heard the Cuse Nation podcast with Sean and Joe.